Well, the Valley has to wait 7 more days, but exactly 90 days since we were last on your screens, Charlton TV is back. Now, a lot has gone on in the off-season, a new manager, a new group of players, a new training ground as well. But the one constant, delighted to say, and they're waiting for me up in the Charlton TV studio, are Curbs and Brownie ahead of what is our first game of the season, Accrington Stanley away from home. It is always an incredibly exciting time ahead of the first game of a new campaign. This is what we've got coming up pre-match. The era gets underway this afternoon, and we'll hear from the man himself in a few minutes' time. We'll also hear from one of his summer signings, versatile fullback Stephen Sessian, who's created a bit of excitement amongst the Charlton fans in his 2 pre-season appearances. And as well as that, we hear from the man who would have played a big part in bringing Stephen and the club's other 5 summer signings to date to the Valley, Steve Gallen. And here they are, Brownie and Curbs. My good, how the devil are you, chaps?
Very well, very well.
Brownie's a little bit hot, I think.
I'm hot.
Are you hot? Why are you hot, Brownie?
It's his room, isn't it? It's like a sauna.
We'll get it nice and cooled down for you anyway. Look, pleased to be back in the Charlton TV studio, or what?
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it. I've got to confess now, I've not seen any of the pre-season games. Not, seen a couple of clips of some of the new players. So I'm looking forward today to having like a real good look at what we've got on show.
We don't want to talk about the football just yet. We want to talk about you two. How's your summers been?
Yeah.
How many holidays?
No, I want to talk about my sub-80s. I've had 2 this summer, golf, so...
Have you?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what else happens, I'm happy.
You better tell your face.
I won one of the golf days at Noel Park, cleaned up,
right,
took everything. Yeah, took the lot. Took nearest the pin,
I won
everything.
golf day. Don't know how I've done it.
You did, and I couldn't even play in it.
I know.
I was working, but yeah, bandito, I have to say, Curbs. How many points?
41, I think.
Yeah.
I think you got high 40s, I heard.
Who?
Yeah, anyway, you must have
Who's counting?
And how many holidays?
4.
Okay, I had 3.
Well,
Oh, I'm last. How
Yeah,
come I'm last with 2? That's shocking.
well, you're already in Brighton, that's like...
Well,
It is like a holiday, I have to say. Look, I mean, if you haven't seen much, and we actually haven't seen much of each other. We thought we might have done, but it's been one of those summers where everyone, you're away all the time, you're away all the time. Rob Lee as well, who's part of the gang, he's away all the time, so we haven't quite been able to meet up, but missed each other?
When did Rob Lee get in our gang?
Is he not in our gang?
Not at the moment, no.
Tell him that.
No, because he's been...
he hasn't got over the Hall of Fame thing yet.
He hasn't been returning calls, he don't want to come out.
Has he not?
He's always making up excuses, so...
Right,
It's only because we sold him and he wanted his name on that stand.
There's still 2 more stands and some toilets as well to be named after. Talking to which, Brownie,
Yeah.
You're going to be in the studio with us, I hear, a lot of times away from home.
Yeah, I think
Didn't
so,
fancy
yeah.
travelling up to Accrington?
No. I think they took one look at my car and thought it was best to have me here. I would make it. Yeah, I think there's a breakdown probably coming if I take the train strikes. Yeah, no, listen, it's one of those things where I think there's some long journeys, isn't there?
Yeah.
For the
A
teams.
lot of fans up there. It must have been a bit of a problem today with the old train strike.
Listen, they cancelled one. They cancelled the first one back.
Well, we all struggled to get into here today, didn't we? But we made it just in time. Let's touch on the football, because that is why we're here. I mean, it was a really disappointing campaign last time out, compounded by the last game of the season as well. Going into today with a new manager and new players, how exciting is it for fans? How excited are you two?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to having my first look at the team today, and listening to Ben and the way he's been conducting it. The one thing I just hope we can do is turn the form around here, because you're not going to win promotion. We're not going to get in the top 6 unless we take a majority of our points here, and that has been our biggest problem last season. So yeah, home form is going to dictate if we can get in that top 6.
And yet we are away at Accrington. I mean, how do you feel? There's a new style of plays, very exciting. Get the ball out from the back, and how do you see that going today?
Yeah, well, listen, I think we've got to make sure that we stick to that game plan, because if there's one team that can really try and stifle you doing that, it's Accrington, especially at home. They've got a good record there. I mean, John Coleman's done a tremendous job on the budget that he's had. And they're kind of a feeder club. Every year he finds talent from the non-league. It's a bit like John Still, the old Dagenham days. He finds these players out of non-league, he brings them in, they have a season or 2 in League One, and League Two back in the day, and they get bought up. I think Portsmouth have taken one of their players, Plymouth have taken one of their players, and he has to go out and find and replace. And I think he has to delve into the non-league. So I think he's taken one from Brackley or something like that, and one from Haverfordwest. So he does a very, very good job. But what comes with that low budget is a certain style of play. You know, and what we've got to do today is be brave and not get caught up. I felt like last year and the year before, we got caught up in the Accrington way. And if you get caught up with what they do, you end up struggling. Yeah. So we've got to be really brave today. But I did see one more game than you, Kurs. I saw the Sutton game, and obviously it was there for everyone to see, the expansive style of play, playing out from the back. We're going to have to be really brave today to continue and show everybody what Ben Garner wants from his team.
OK, well, I have to say, it is absolutely fantastic to be back. Let's head up to the Wham Stadium now, shall we, and hear from Ollie Groom, who can just tell us about the surroundings around him.
Thanks, Scott. It's been exactly 3 months since the Addicks were last in competitive action, that final day defeat at Ipswich Town. We're now at the end of July. It's the height of summer, and would you believe it, it's raining up here in Accrington. I believe it's much nicer down in London today, but it's definitely going to be one for the Addicks to contend with today. You know what Accrington are like. They like to be physical. One thing that we can't complain about today is the pitch. It's a great condition. Obviously, the first game of the season, always likely to be so. Perfect for the way we want to play this afternoon. There's going to be around 800 or so Addicks fans. They've already bought their tickets. Hopefully we can add a few more to get up here today. They'll be behind the goal and over there in the corner where those stewards are sitting over there. So hopefully they'll be making plenty of noise today. Something else to look out for today, the brand new Castor third kit. The blue and the slightly darker blue will be on show for the first time today. So plenty to look forward to here in Accrington. Now let's take a look at what Ben Garner had to say. He caught up with Terry Smith yesterday for Charlton TV ahead of today's game.
So here we are on the eve of your first competitive game as Charlton boss. How much are you looking forward to it?
Really excited. Been really happy with pre-season. The application from everyone since we joined the club and come in has been great. And that's players, that's staff, and that's all staff. You know, everyone around the place here at the training ground, at the stadium. And we're looking forward to the first game now. Like I say, really pleased with the progress made in pre-season, but nothing replicates that magic of a league game, a cup game, and the competitive stuff. So, yeah, excited.
You'll have a lot of questions thrown at you about how your squad is and how they're shaping up and who's injured, who's not, and what's it look like. But how's Ben Garner? Does Ben Garner get excited for this sort of game, especially first game? Nervous, determined, anxious, or is it just another game you want to win?
Yeah, another game you want to win. Obviously, it's first game, it's huge. We want to get momentum in the season as early as we can, but I'm fairly level-headed. I don't get too up and I don't get too down. For me, it's always a working process each week. So if we're going to win tomorrow, for me, it's dictated by what we've done this week as much as possible. So we've worked hard right from the start of the week in terms of training, in terms of analysis, in terms of gym sessions, our nutrition. So it's about trying to do as much as you can to give yourself the best possible chance of winning on the Saturday. So yeah, there'll be a little bit of butterflies probably ahead of the game as usual. But no, overall, I'm looking forward to it because of what I've seen out there on the training ground this week.
But are you where you want to be as we end pre-season and start season proper?
Yeah, I think from coming in to where we are now, it couldn't really have asked for much more, if I'm honest, in terms of the amount of recruitment we've been able to do, in terms of the amount of time we've been able to spend on the training ground. Really good trip away at the start of pre-season, which helped. And this fantastic facility at the training ground now and what we've been able to create. I'm really happy with the environment. I'm really happy with the type of culture that we're setting now and the way of working. And yeah, obviously it translates onto the pitch. We need to make sure that we're winning games, but I'm confident we can do that in these opening stages of the season.
A lot of fans from the outside looking in have sensed a new beginning about the place and about the club. Do you sense that as well, and are you looking forward to that? Very
much so. I think I've sensed a little bit of negativity at times in terms of frustration from last season and the club wanting to be in a better place than where it is, and I fully understand that and appreciate it, but I think it's a new slate, it's a new start, and together we need to heal as a football club a little bit and come back together and be aligned. If we're going to be successful this season, that requires everyone, you know, and supporters just as much. if they're behind the team and are really going for it and supporting those young men that are on the pitch that will be giving their all, I think we can achieve great things this season. But for me, there's enough negativity in this world, and we've gone through difficult times with COVID and inflation at the moment, that I think football can be a release. And it's important for me that the team is always giving everything for the supporters that are travelling and are coming to games and spending their money. But hopefully we can get that replicated from the supporters. And I'm asking these players to be brave and play with courage and attack games. And if the supporters can get behind that and stick with the players, then that will make a huge, huge difference this season.
Well, big thanks to Ollie, our man at the ground there. Terry Smith, of course, asking the questions, and great to hear from Ben for the first time as well. What did you make of what he had to say and his appointment generally as well?
Well, yeah, obviously I've read a couple of things, how it came about, that perhaps Thomas and the people involved were looking elsewhere and looking at other things, and suddenly Ben come on the radar. And then when they done a little bit more digging into what he's about, then they went, yeah, let's get him over, let's interview him. And I think in the interview they said, look, we like what we're hearing, we're going to go with him. Because I think they had their mindset on a few other people that had applied, because there was a lot of applicants apparently. Listen, he had a real good season last year, unfortunately in the playoffs. Don't know what he knows about this league, because obviously where he was, but he sounds like he's hungry. And that's the one thing that you need, for sure. He's hungry and he wants to be successful. And why not? No disrespect, but when you come from Swindon to here,
it's a big jump.
Big jump. And he knows, and I don't want to call Charlton a stepping stone, never would. But if he knows if he can do the job here, this place can lift off again, and that's what we're all waiting for.
What do you make of what he had to say, Brownie?
Yeah, I think first and foremost he'll want to prove himself in this division. He's had a crack with Bristol Rovers at this level, and it didn't go particularly well. And then he's bounced back, which is great to see. Actually, I love seeing managers bounce back, because I just don't think managers get enough time in this country to prove themselves. I think that's certainly the case over the last 20 years. So I'm glad he's got another crack. So I think you're right. He's hungry. He's hungry because he wants to prove everybody that was a blip, absolute out-and-out blip. In terms of what he said, I kind of get where he's going with the negativity, but that is a two-way street. You've got to perform well out there to get them on side. Yeah. All right, and you've got a right in the stands to say what you want to say if the performance isn't where you want it to be. You've paid your money, but yeah, it obviously is much better than them crowds behind you. But you've got to give them something to get behind. Now we're hoping to see this exciting new era, and like I said, I saw a little bit of it at Sutton, and it is different. I mean, he is going to stick to his principles without any shadow of a doubt. What you hope is there's a result or two nice and quick, because that will just change the belief within the dressing room, the morale, the atmosphere, because it was a downer last year. Yeah. You can't get away from that. There is a hangover from last season, and the quicker we can get points on the board and everyone can get behind everything, I think that will raise the performance on the pitch.
Curbs, there is a very attack-minded, but also playing out from the back, a very clear approach, which is not always easy to implement, certainly not in third tier. How quickly you're expecting it to come?
I've always thought, no disrespect to the league, that it would be difficult to play that sort of football. I mean, not all the grounds are like this, but it's quite a lot. We know that. There's like 12 odd ex-Premier League clubs, if you like. So playing out from the back and with the way the pitches are in most of the grounds, and that's going to be an advantage if you can do that. And he set his stall out. This is how we're going to go. And I don't think since we've been doing this, I don't think that Jacko never played out from the back whenever he could, whatever. So it'd be interesting to see what difference he's made. And I'm looking at the lineup, and it's
let's come on to that in just a second.
Just looking at lineup, but just saying that it is an experienced lineup.
Yeah. We'll come on to that in just a second, because we will first look at his Swindon Town's statistics from last season as well. And as you can see here, top scorers in League Two, scoring the most goals from open play, having the most shots on target on average per game. Swindon also averaged 58% possession, completing an average of 529 passes per game. I mean, on paper at least, it looks attractive, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's excellent. I'd like to see the flip side of that. There has got to be some defensive analysis as well, surely, and that's what I would imagine Ben's focusing on this year. Yeah. So his learning curve last year is, I've got that where I want it to be. And what led me to finish 6th was obviously the other side of it, the defensive side, in transition, getting behind the ball quicker, being nice and solid behind the ball when it breaks down. That obviously needs improving. Otherwise, they would have, been automatic last year, because those stats are very impressive.
Interestingly, 52 of their 77 league goals came in the second half, 18 in the final 10 minutes. Is it that, Ben Garner's team grinds teams down, and therefore actually, the fans might have to be patient in the first half?
I think the one thing about possession-based football is that at some stage the opposition will, turn off, perhaps lack of concentration or something lets them down, and you capitalise on it. That's what the Man Cities do, etc. So it's interesting, and is it a fitness thing that they're lasting the 90 minutes longer, better, and that last 15 minutes, they're coming into their own. So, not knowing what the pre-season's been like, it'd be interesting to see if, when the medical side come out with the stats, the physical stats, if they've improved from last season.
Let's have a look at the team then, shall we? I mean, Curbs is desperate to talk about it. Let's bring it in then, shall we? 3 debutants, Joe Wollacott, Owen O'Connell and Stephen Sessian in what is a 4-3-3 formation. 2 more new signings on the bench. And isn't it great to see a Leeburn on the bench as well? Miles, son of Carl and Tracy, of course. I don't know who's the bigger name between Tracy and Carl anymore. What do you make of it, Curbs?
Well, mate, the first thing is that 3 of the new signings have gone in the back 5.
Yeah.
Which, that's where I would have started as well, to be honest. Because, especially here, we look very vulnerable defensively. So let's see if that back 5 and Dobson can do that defensive side that we need to give the attacking part of the team the opportunity to go out and express themselves.
Brownie?
Yeah, I think obviously the system's changed. We're going to go from a back 3 with wing backs to a back 4, and I do think he's still going to want those full backs to be very progressive. I think they're going to offer width high up the pitch. The game I saw, Sessian was coming inside, almost inverted to receive off of O'Connell, but on the inside channel. So I think there's going to be a lot of fluid movement. Particularly, I think you're going to see Fraser try and break the back line, which he did up at Sutton.
2 wide players are fluid as well.
They can come inside.
Over,
yeah. So what he does is, if Blackett-Taylor holds a wide left position, Fraser will drive between the centre half and the fullback to keep the fullback at home, to leave Blackett-Taylor out wide 1v1. And we know he can be explosive 1v1. So we'll look out for that today. But yeah, we're going to, I always focus on the transition. So, he's already got very impressive forward statistics at Swindon, and he'll look to do that again here. But one of the things I sort of picked up on Sutton was when we lost the ball in certain areas, and this is why you're going to have to be brave today, because when we lost the ball in deep areas, playing into Dobson or Morgan or Fraser who dropped deep, and we lost it, we were quite exposed. And there'll be a lot of work done from the Sutton game to today to make sure that we don't concede when we give the ball away in areas we shouldn't.
I'm just looking at it, and for me, the one player that has got to up his game out there is Jaisimi, for me. We know what Corey Blackett can do. We all know what Stockley can do. I've not quite seen what Jaisimi can do.
He hasn't
he's not really
come to the fore yet, has he?
set everything alight, has he?
No.
And is he going to go past his fullback? Is he going to go and join Stockley and just get in around him to help him out? And is he going to nick a goal? Because let's be fair, you're looking at that. And
I know what you're going to say, Cuz. It's going to be my last question. Is there a worry about if Jaden's not around?
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm looking at, I don't think Dobson's going to score too many goals. I don't think Albie Morgan's going to. I'm not too sure about Fraser. So a lot of emphasis is going to be on that front 3. And the way it is at the moment, and I'm sure Steve Gallen and everybody else is looking at it, thinking if we lose Stockley, no disrespect, but if we lose Stockley, we've got a bit of a problem.
Absolutely.
It was an issue last year. I think we were. You take away the 4 relegated sides, I think we were 3rd worst scorers in the league last year. And
if mine goes back, Brownie, to when Jacko had all his forwards out.
Yeah, it was a problem.
When I was all out for 6 or 7 games.
It was a big problem.
Right, so if we lose Stockley, I know we've got Miles and etc. and the young boy Garner and whatever, but it's going to be a problem. I'm sure that's an area that they're looking at.
Yeah. I think Jaisimi, you just need to see some consistency, because when he's good, you can see a player there.
Yeah.
You can. He's good 1v1, and when he gets his delivery right, and when he's on top of his fullback and he's confident, you see a different Jaisimi. But when it's the other way and he struggles to beat the fullback, he sort of disappears out the game, and that's where you want him to actually take it ball by the horns.
Just going back to the emphasis, I can't see too many goals in there. You know, the midfield, I know that Jack Payne, is it, who's come in? You know, he's more of an attacker. He nicks a goal. But I don't see too many goals coming from that midfield three, so it's going to be a big emphasis on the front three.
We could talk for hours, but kickoff's in 25 minutes, so we better move on.
How far are we behind?
6 minutes behind already. But that's okay, that's normal. Let's have a look at today's League One, because as you'd expect, is a full fixture list. Newly promoted sides, Bristol Rovers, Forest Green Rovers go head-to-head. Derby County competing in the third tier for the first time since 85-86. Curbs, where were you in 85-86? I put you under pressure there, haven't I?
I know, Brighton, I think.
They kick off their home campaign.
No, I was just looking how many ex-Premier League teams are there.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking at.
Yeah.
While you was waffling on.
Sorry, I do apologise. This is just a little bit of script reading. But we host Derby at the Valley next weekend, of course. Other two sides to come down from the Championship, Peterborough and Barnsley, both start with away games, while last season's losing playoff finalists Wickham begin the new season at home to Jimmy Floyd, Hasselbanks, Burton. Look, well, chaps, we'll take Charlton out of the equation. If you had to lay down money, £1, no more, be responsible with your gambling, who would you go for?
I'm going to put my pound on Sheffield Wednesday. I quite like Darren Moore. I think they're obviously they'll be strong budget-wise. They'll be able to increase the squad size in January, I would have thought, you know, with the financial backing they have. And I quite like Darren Moore. I think he's done a wonderful job at Doncaster in this league, and I think they'll be very, very strong this year. I'm
going to go for Ipswich. I think that they got big backing, and they got it wrong last year. They signed a lot of players, including Fraser. But I think they've got the backing there and the support that they could be a threat. 6
new managers, 7 if you talk about Liam Rosini, and I certainly hope he becomes a permanent manager at Derby as well. How does that affect things at the start of a season?
Yeah, I think that, well, certainly you get a jump in enthusiasm, surely. I mean, that's what Ben Garner's talked about, and I hope the players, with a new manager coming in, respond, and they enjoy the training. But as Steve said earlier, it is result-based, and for everyone connected. So a result today, Derby at the weekend, we know that they're going to bring a lot of fans. This place should be up and running, you know, good atmosphere. If we can get a good start, 2 on the spin, be lovely. 2 on the spin, and then suddenly this place changes. The whole thing changes. And secondly, I know don't want to go into it too much, but with the window still open, if you can get a good start, you're that more attractive.
Yeah, you are.
You're that more attractive to whoever you're chasing.
It's interesting because you put, like if you're Ben Garner, you want a performance today, don't you? As well as a result. I would always take a result first game over a performance, always. Just get me up and running. No,
result's always the most important thing, but how do you get a result? Generally speaking, with a good performance.
But that's my point. If you have a bad one, but you somehow get over the line, that is
well, then you get away with it.
But that's
the
more
process of the whole season.
Because waiting for that first win, has, you know, the longer it goes on.
Let's not have a conversation here, because as I say, we're already well over. Let's go to club news updates now, shall we? And there's a lot to talk about here. Tickets for our first home game of the season against Derby next Saturday are on sale, with adult prices starting at £23 up until the day before the game. Season tickets, of course, also remain on sale, with prices starting at £285 for adults. That equates to just £12.40 per league match. Head to booking.cafc.co.uk to get yours. Well, supporters who reside outside of the UK and Ireland are reminded that they can purchase a subscription for Charlton TV for just £220 per year, or £35 per month recurring. That subscription will allow you to watch every men's first team league game live, as well as a host of other matches from our under-23s, under-18s and women's team as well. The cost per match of the annual subscription breaks down to less than £5 per game, which is based on you only watching the men's first team league matches. Last season, Charlton TV streamed exactly 99 games across the club's different teams, so you certainly get your money's worth, even with this subscription. And that's not even talking about Curbs and Brownie as well. That itself is absolutely priceless. Tumbleweeds. All 3 of the club's kits have now been unveiled, with the most recent being the 3rd strip on Thursday, and all of the shirts are now available to purchase in person from the Valley Superstore or online. International shipping is now also available. Well, the Charlton women's team have been on pre-season tour in Scotland this week as they get themselves prepared for the new Barclays Women's Championship season. They concluded their week with a hard-fought 1-0 win over Glasgow Rangers on Wednesday. And finally, you may have seen the pop-up on screen already. I'm delighted to say that you, the fans, the heartbeats of Charlton TV, there we go, will be able to get in contact with the studio via WhatsApp this season starting today. If you have a question for myself, Curbs or Brownie, then send it in by WhatsApping the number on screen now, and we could read it out live on air. We look forward to hearing your views. Actually, if you don't mind, I have got one through already. It's a guy called Alistair Bayliss.
Oh, jeez, Louis.
Never heard of him. He's tweeted,
don't read it out, then.
Who bought Brownie the new shirt?
So I've still got his, actually. That's what I come back with.
Is that his shirt?
I should have worn his today. He lent me a shirt. We went out the other night, he lent me a shirt. I should have worn that today.
Is that Bayliss travel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, and he's sunning himself in Spain somewhere as well. So, Al, good to see you're watching.
Whatever shirt I wear, I look way better than he does in it.
How's that right?
Oh, so he thinks that might be his?
No, this one isn't his. No,
He's
I think what he's saying
He's
is...
just giving Brownie a bit of stick already.
What he's saying is it's normally smarter than a normally...
Yeah.
Which...
OK, back to today now, and Steven Sessian is one of 3 new signings in the starting 11 today, and Charlton TV caught up with him earlier this week to get to know him a little better.
Sess, on the eve of the first game of the season, a trip to Accrington on Saturday. How much are you looking forward to getting started with this new campaign?
Yeah, a lot. I've been counting down the days, to be honest, to the start of the season. It's all well and good, like in pre-season with the games and training being around the squad, but you want to be playing competitive games, and I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Talk to me about, from a personal point of view, you obviously arrived just after we got back from Spain. You've settled in really well. It seems to be a good group. There's a real togetherness here, it feels like. I mean, how have you settled in?
I'd like to really thank the staff, really. They've allowed me to ease in terms of I started my pre-season a little later than the club, so they've looked after me well, but I'm getting up to shape now, and with the start of the season around the corner, I feel very confident in my body and in my ability to start well.
And it's been a challenging few weeks as far as the weather goes, more than anything else. We've had some really hot spells, a bit cooler at the moment. We've had a real mix of things. How's that affected you personally? Do you think it's those hot days were beneficial because it's going to set us up well for fitness?
Yeah, I think it can only benefit you. There's hot conditions, so you get through them, it's a big plus. But the boys haven't had any complaints. They've got down and done their work, so fair play to everyone involved. So it's set us up very nicely for the start of the season, where Saturday games are going to be very hot, and then 3 o'clock kickoffs, so we'll be all right.
You had your first little taste of wearing the red shirt at the Valley against Swansea last Saturday. First of all, did you enjoy that experience of seeing a much smaller crowd than what we will be used to for this season? But also, just as far as the game went, it was a real promising indication, wasn't it, of what we're trying to do here?
Absolutely, I think we can take a lot from that game. We did a lot of good things with the ball and defended very well without it. Probably let ourselves down with the goals, but in terms of all-round play, I think it was something we can build on. We were very good with the ball, playing out from the back and being very attacking, being a threat, especially from wide areas. So as long as we can take that into the league, I think we'll be good.
And the fact that Swansea, they're a good similar side to us, they like to get it down, pass out the back, keep possession. They're a good championship side, so the fact that we held our own, more than held our own against them, especially in the first half where we looked really impressive, it bodes well, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I always knew it was going to be a hard game against Swansea, and there are a few good teams in League One that can play football a similar way, who really want to get the ball down and play, so it was a good test. But in terms of other teams, I think we should also look to defend the opposite type of teams who want to be aggressive and very front foot. So it was a good test all round, but I think we can expect the opposite this weekend as well.
I was going to say, you couldn't get more opposite really than that sort of Swansea style, Charlton style now, if you like, passing from the back. Accrington, we know what they're about, always a really tough place to go. They'll get in our faces, they'll make life difficult for us. They'll probably kick lumps out of us as well, but how important is it to be prepared for all aspects of football that we're going to come up against? And is it beneficial to us, do you think, that we've got that straight off the bat?
I think it will be a good wake-up call, regardless of how they come I think when they come and they're aggressive, I think it'll be very good for it to be the first game of the season, because it'll set us up nicely. We're not going into it too easy, and it's not nice. It's quite aggressive and it's hard, so we're going to have to be switched on. But I look forward to it. I think the boys will be up for the challenge. I think it'll be a mistake to go there and think it'll be an easy game. It'll be a very hard game. First game of the seasons are never easy. So I think we look forward to stepping up to the challenge.
How important do you think it is to set a marker in that first game? Even if you're coming away with a point, you're avoiding defeat or whatever, but to get a win as well is a real bonus on opening day. But to set down a marker as far as performance goes and effort and as well, if you can get that first point on the board, how important is that?
Of course, they never say the first game of the season wins you the league, but it's very important, I think, especially for this club, to start well. So I think it will do us big favours if we put in a performance, also get the 3 points. If we have to grind down and take a scrappy win, I think we will just to set ourselves up. But I think wherever the game, however it turns out, we'll be up for whatever challenge comes at us.
And the goal for us as a club is to be up in amongst it at the top end of that table this season, come what may. You experienced a little bit of that with Plymouth at the back end of last season. Ultimately, that ended up in disappointment on the very last hurdle. How much does that set you up for as far as being hungry for going one step further this season?
Being honest, it was all I could think about during the summer. On my holidays on the sunbed, just thinking about what could have been. So I think as long as I take this season game by game, wanting to take 3 points slowly and not thinking too much into the future, by the end of it, it should do us nicely. But step for a target, I think it will be a mistake not to aim for the very top, and then you go off from there. But I think we should aim very high. We've got a good squad, we have a good mentality and a good manager, so we should be all right.
And just finally, we'll have a decent following up at Accrington. It's a long way to go on the opening day of the season, but the fans will be there in their numbers. What's your message for them as they're preparing to head up there and hopefully get off to a good start?
Well, I'd like to thank them for my welcome so far. I look forward to seeing them up and on a way to support, and it should be a good day for everyone involved.
Yeah, look, we wish Stephen all the very best and welcome him to Charlton. What are we expecting from this season? You know his cousin really well, actually, don't you?
I hope he's better than him. That was the in-joke in the video. I get to work with the worst Sessian. He's the only one that didn't make pro.
That's not Stephen, it's cousin Chris.
Chris, yeah, and I worked with him at Dover and at Ebbsfleet, and he was actually very good. I got him as a youngster and enjoyed working with him, actually, but he never made the grade. And obviously the twins have gone on to be rather successful.
They've done very well indeed. Obviously, the twin brother, Ryan, exceptional last season for Spurs. Curbs, I mean, he was on loan from Fulham right now, so how important is it to utilise those kind of loans deals with Premier League clubs?
We said it for a long while, and you know, with the big London clubs around us, you know, I think Lee Bowyer done well when he went on into the loan market with Steve Gallen. You know, the people they brought in. I watched the game last night, Burnley, Josh Cullen, you know, and we had Gallagher and other players that come from Premier League clubs. So I think that it's an area that should be capitalised on, personally. I know they must be trying, but with all the big clubs around us, there must be an opportunity between now and the end of the window to bring in some loan players, if that's where we're going to go.
I wonder if it's a question of waiting for the Premier League clubs to sort out their squads and then see who they don't want.
Listen,
so
you do get phone calls.
In that sense, you wait
you do get phone calls as a Premier League manager. You go, look, let's get the season. Let's get the first couple of games out of the way so I know where I am. And it'll probably be done in the last week. But once again, we've said it so many times, we are an attractive situation. So hopefully, if that's the way we're going to go, then we might bring a few more loans.
But in terms of Stephen, how good a player is he? And actually, looking at the depth of the squad, we don't need him injured, do we?
No, can't afford him to get injured at the moment. I mean, we have got obviously Clayton to come in, and he has played a couple of pre-season games there, just I guess in case that happens. But yeah, Stephen will bomb forward, likes to get forward early, good off both sides. I think he naturally likes to come back onto the right foot, can play right back if needed. But yeah, you're going to see a player that likes to get forward every opportunity he gets, and he has got the athleticism and fitness levels to do that up and down all games. So. Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity for him to get, you know, a League One campaign under his belt. I think it's very important. You spoke about Maatsen, didn't you, last night? Looks stronger. Yeah. You know, these loans you have in League One, they prepare you for the Championship and above. And you can see from Maatsen physically stronger.
The London clubs, you know, whoever's looking after the loans at Fulham, it's great, isn't it? You ain't got too far to come and watch the games. Yeah. The boy hasn't probably got to move house or live in digs. He can get across London to the training ground, so it works for everybody.
OK, let's hear from the man who gets the deals done, shall we? Director of Recruiting, it is Steve Gallum.
Steve, it's been yet another busy summer of action for you and for the recruitment team here at Charlton. 6 in so far. How pleased are you with what we've done so far this summer?
Well, pretty content, I've got to say, right now. And obviously, over the last few years, we've been doing this. It's been varied. Sometimes it's a few in early, and sometimes it's a few in late. I much prefer it done this way. I think we all the players that we've been trying to get in, we pretty much have got. So there hasn't been loads of disappointments this time. So we've been very picky about who we've gone and got, and pretty much anyone we really pinpointed and went out there to try and get, we got. And so we've chosen the players carefully, basically regarding the style of play and the style of play of the team and the style of play of the manager. And we were doing a lot of work, as you can imagine, before the manager even came in. But then when he did come in, it made it a whole lot easier to speak to him about which players he wanted, which players I was already fairly close to. And then we've aligned it pretty well so far.
And obviously, there's still over a month to go, just over a month to go, until the window closes. So, plenty of action across the leagues. We're going to see more action as I guess towards the end of the window, things start to really hot up. But what can Charlton fans expect as far as what we want to do? Obviously, there's quite a few loan spaces still available to fill if indeed we want to do that. So, what do you think still needs to happen, or is likely to happen over the next month or so?
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, we're all learning all the time, including myself. This is how I see the transfer windows are going anyway, or how they've gone. There's a bit at the start. There's the sort of best free transfers available, and there's a bit of a mad rush, and that's even really in May. You can't sign the players really till like mid-June, start of July officially. But then there's a bit of a mad rush. Then it comes down. Then it builds up again just before pre-season training starts. You see people really, a lot of players don't want to miss out training or training with groups. And so we got a couple in, you know, at that stage as well. We got just before the lads went out to Spain on their pre-season trip, we got a couple in, and then we got a couple in just after that as well. So I've noticed it was sped up a little bit after last weekend because the first game of the season obviously is tomorrow. But today, bizarrely, is the quietest day I've had. I've not had no phone calls because everybody is now focusing on the first game tomorrow. So all the teams across the league, but then it will pick up again on Sunday and Monday in particular. And then we will have a little bit of a mad rush, if you want to call it that, in the business in the last few days of the window, which is at the end of August. This year, we actually go on into September the 1st, and I think 11 o'clock is the deadline. So for us right now, we've had 6 signings, fairly content. We know we need a couple more in. There might be a couple going as well, and I might need to replace them. So let's just hold our nerve right now, see how things develop. You know, obviously the game is the main focus now tomorrow, but see how things develop in the next few days, and hopefully we can be a bit more picky about the players that we want to get in to the football club.
Curbs, it is a tricky time getting the right players in, isn't it? But making sure players do come in. What do you make of what Steve had to say?
Yeah, I can understand how it goes up and then it gets a bit quieter and etc. But it's definitely going to lift off this week because people get a bad result, they get a couple of injuries, etc., etc. And then you start not panicking, but you know you need to start thinking about it and moving quickly. And I think from today onwards is going to be quite hectic.
6 players in so far, but no money has been spent. But there's a clear way, and Steve said it, and we can see we talked about Ben's style are the type of players we want.
Yeah, and he's brought in players he's familiar with, and I think that's important when you're a manager that coaches. You know, and I've played for managers that haven't coached at all. They've let their first team coach do it. and they've sat and watched on the sidelines. But Ben clearly wants to coach the team, and actually the familiarity with the players that he's brought up from Swindon allows him to get ahead of the game, because when he's trying to explain something to the group, they already know. So they can get on with the job without having to be coached too much. So that's a positive in that respect. But yeah, I mean, it's quite a smart business, really. And some people can complain that we've not paid a fee for anybody, but that's quite a smart business. We've managed to get ourselves ahead of a lot of other teams to sign these players on a free transfer, you know. And we're in a competitive market. You know, budgets have to be trimmed, and in terms of what we've brought in so far, thumbs up. But I'm sure there's going to be some movement in and out before the end of August.
Just looking at it, reminded me when me and Gritty took over, because, you know, Lenny left and Johnny Bumps had already signed on a free transfer. Lenny left, and, you know, me and Steve got the job, and we had about 15 players. But I went and got Gats and Nels because I knew them. They was both on free transfers, and which was a real bonus because I knew what they could do, and I knew that, you know, within reason they was going to be successful. So that's what Ben's gone and done. He's going to got 3 players in. Is it 3? 3 players from Swindon that know how he works, and he knows what they're like. So it's a bonus.
Another question on the WhatsApp, which you might need a bit of time. And to be fair, the player who might be our player of the year of the season might not yet be signed. But that's the question from Curtis. Who will be our player of the year this season? We'll move on. The lads need a bit of
we'll
time
tell you after
think.
today.
Let's have a look back at our last pre-season game, shall we? That was, of course, against Swansea. Didn't win, but it's not about the winning. And we won't come up against too many footballing sides that will out-football us the way it looks like it. But if you press well, these type of things can happen.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, look at that. I mean, you don't play it across to the keeper's right. That's got to go to the left of the keeper, and he's got to do the old peg leg clearance. But the fact of the matter is, we did press well. We had good numbers forward. You know, that looks impressive. Look, 3 around the ball, hunting, trying to win it back. We hope to see that again today. And nice and positive look from Blackett-Taylor, straight up there on the outside. He's, I mean, obviously, technically, there's a breakdown at the end there, but that's what I mean about the fullbacks being high. They're progressive. 2 centre-half split, fullbacks are up. Good width ahead of the ball in Blackett-Taylor, trying to get him those 1v1s that you're seeing here, because he will cause people trouble if he gets 1v1.
Curbs, I mean, I know you didn't see the game, but what are you looking for in the final pre-season game?
Well, I was really impressed with Corey Blackett as a wing-back, right? And, you know, he caused some damage. Now I'm looking at him there. If we can get him the ball in the final third, and you saw Jaisimi again, that's an area that I think we've got to look at and be successful, because we've got to score more goals. I know we're talking about we conceded too many here, especially, but, you know, for us to get up and running, we've got to, you know, have some out-and-out goal scorers. And are them 3 that's playing up there today good enough to get their quota?
You see that there, that's going to be important today. So that set piece there, the knockdown, that's where we've got to be really diligent. We had the numbers, but we didn't have anybody recognise the danger, get out and make the blocks. Again, we've got numbers around the ball, not close enough to the ball. We've got to do that better today. You know, but this is a pre-season friendly, you know, and they would have been, they will have analysed these pictures we're seeing. You know, there's 7v4 here in the box, so that we've got done 1v1, but Claire's got done on the shoulder. His body positioning is awful. You know, and hopefully those mistakes have been made during pre-season, and that gives Ben Garner time to iron them out. You know, open your shoulders, see him come and get your arm across.
That's around, aren't they? And the pitch is looking good. We'll come on to that in just a second. Let's remind ourselves of the team then, shall we? We make, well, 3 new signings are making their debuts, and that is Joe Wallacott, Stephen Sessian, and Owen O'Connell as well. And what we think is a well-balanced side, Curbs?
Yeah, I do. Looking at it, and an experienced side as well.
In terms of Accrington, Brownie, what are we expecting then?
Well, they're going to. The one thing we do know is they're not going to change their style of play, and they will turn us around quickly. Not only will they turn us around, they get up behind that quickly. That back line will get up to the halfway line as quickly as it can to condense play, because they don't want to play open and expansive. They want to put you under pressure. They don't want big gaps between the units, and they're going to utilise every long throw and every set piece.
So I think Innes and Stockley are going to have to be on their game defensively.
Yeah.
Especially for his long
crosses. Do you remember the goal up here last year?
Yeah.
When we couldn't get out of our 6-yard box, and you know, there was a criticism of how that goal went in, but that's what Accrington do, and what we can't do is get caught up with what they do.
But isn't it a good time to be playing Accrington? The pitch looks absolutely fantastic. Middle of winter, very difficult to get the ball down and play, isn't it?
Yeah, they finished the season very strong at home. I mean, 1 loss in the last sort of 12 games or something like that. They were very, very strong. and at home. So I think in terms of they've got a couple of suspensions, they've had a couple of injuries. I think it's a great time to face them.
It certainly is. OK, let's get over to our commentator, shall we? And I wonder if you've missed us. Terry Smith, we've missed you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Scott. Of course I've missed you. Missed Scott, Steve Edcurbs. How could you possibly not, as we wait for the game to get underway. Welcome everybody to the Wham Stadium here in Lancashire. Charlton and Ben Garner. A new era